Healthiest Breakfast Ever Mark II, Part 1, the intro. 63 therapeutic effects, with another 53 if you add my aminos cocktail to the juice, for a total of 116 medicinal health-giving benefits. How many do you get with your cornflakes? This juice does not contain furanocoumarins, also known as furanocoumarins, which are phototoxic molecules, so it is entirely safe for people who get regular sun or tanning bed exposure. Both the beetroot and the spinach do contain oxylates, however, with a theoretical risk of kidney stones if you have a medical condition which predisposes you to these, or if you have ever taken calcium supplements. So watch the first part of my video carefully, where I discuss these conditions. If you do have one of these conditions, as long as you use supplementation rather than tanning for your vitamin D, use my Healthiest Breakfast Ever Mark I containing carrots, which has 28 therapeutic effects, 81 if you count the medicinal properties of the amino cocktail you should add to it. After 4 weeks of using it and my other diet recommendations, you should have put the condition into remission, and you can then use the Mark II. See also Healthiest Breakfast Ever Mark II, Making It, where I actually make the juice. And not for tanners, Healthiest Breakfast Ever Mark I, Part 1, the studies, intro, Healthiest Breakfast Ever Mark I, Part 2, Making It. So here we are in front of the board I made for the Healthiest Breakfast Ever Mark I. And there's a problem with that, with the Mark I. I'm making videos to help people with chronic diseases, autoimmune diseases and other diseases, mainly based on the Seignelay diet by Professor Jean Seignelay, who his theory was that all these chronic diseases are caused by leaky gut, intestinal permeability. Heal the leaky gut and you put the diseases into remission. Okay, so he died in 2002. He didn't say much about vitamin D. In fact, he didn't say anything about it. But in the last 10 years, it's become more and more apparent that vitamin D plays a huge part in chronic diseases. I looked up all the diseases that Jean Seignelay put into remission, and for every one there was a study which showed that people who had that disease had vitamin D deficiency. Okay, so my idea is to use the Seignelay diet. I mean, you can use this as a lifestyle diet, to be really healthy. If you haven't got a disease, if you want to avoid the diseases, if you want to live to 100, if you want to look like I do at 70, I'm 70 years old, yeah. So this is a lifestyle, or to put these diseases into remission, yeah, get rid of your autoimmune disease, for God's sake. Okay, the problem with the Mark I version, I mean, this would be fine if there are two ways you can get the vitamin D, the sweet spot of vitamin D, the absolute optimum amount of vitamin D, which is going to put your disease into remission. You can either do it by supplementation, or you can do it by sun exposure and or exposure in a tanning bed. Okay, sun exposure is a bit problematic. In some places it's too extreme. In Queensland, there's just too much sun. Yeah, so I think I'm going to sell you my tanning bed. I manufacture and sell a tanning bed, and I think you should use my tanning bed 4 times a week, yeah, get optimum vitamin D. Okay, now the problem with this Mark 1 version of my Healthiest Breakfast Ever is that it's got carrots in, okay, and carrots have a molecule called furanocoumarin, or they're also called furanocoumarins, both equally valid, yeah? And those are phototoxic molecules, so they end up in your skin, and that could possibly, if you've got other risk factors for melanoma, that could cause melanoma. So we want to get rid of the carrots, not a good thing if we're doing an awful lot of sun exposure or tanning bed exposure. So carrots are gone. In a minute I'll come back and there'll be a new board, yeah? Black radish, we're going to have to make space for this, because I'm going to make some space here, because I'm going to put beetroot and spinach in. Beetroot and spinach to replace the carrots, yeah? So, that's it. Oh, and glutamine. Glutamine is fine, but I think you don't want to take it for more than about a month, yeah? Take a tablespoonful maybe every day for a month. That would be fine. That's really going to heal your gut. Glutamine, the preferred food of your enterocytes, of your intestinal cells. But there are some problems with glutamine, which if you go to my video I made on aminos, I talk about that, and I think it's better to take several amino acids, which are all good for the healing the intestine, and they have lots of other medicinal healing beneficial effects as well, yeah, make you really healthy, especially taurine. If you're a vegetarian, very hard to get taurine, and taurine is implicated in depression. So I really recommend taking 3/4 of a teaspoonful of taurine every day, and that's included in my aminos. So so I'll come back in a minute and we'll see a new board. So we're getting rid of the carrots, and we're putting in their place beetroot and spinach. But those are both foods very high in oxylates, and in theory that could cause, it's very theoretical, can possibly cause kidney stones. But how likely that is, I don't think it's very likely. But there are certain risk factors. First of all, you should drink plenty of water, yeah, so that avoids kidney stones. Drink plenty of water. If you don't drink much water, you're at risk of getting kidney stones anyway. Oxalate, your body makes loads of oxalate, intrinsically. So, whether foods with oxalates have any effect is pretty academic. But anyway, let's look at the risk factors. If you have one of these risk factors, you may want to use, instead of beetroot and spinach, if you can, use beetroot and spinach, because they're so wonderful. They've got such wonderful nutrients in them. But if you've got one of these risk factors, replace those with maybe lettuce or kale or cabbage. If you use kale or cabbage particularly, make sure you supplement with Lugol's iodine, because those cruciferous vegetables have iodine blocking molecules which can affect the thyroid. So make sure you have take 4 or 5 drops of Lugol's iodine in water. I recommend that anyway. I do that. I take 4 or 5 drops in Lugol's iodine. I had a goiter once. I had it for about 10 years, and I got rid of the bloody thing, by taking Lugol's iodine. So there you go. So just replace the spinach and beetroot if you've got one of these things. So risk factors: ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, and if you're taking antibiotics, B6 deficiency and B1 deficiency. Well, both of those, there's plenty of that in brown rice. I thoroughly recommend eating lots of brown rice, and you'll see my video for Healthiest Lunch Ever. I show you how to make macrobiotic brown rice. Tastes fabulous, very easy to make. So, you know, have that and that. So, if you've got hyperthyroid, that can be a risk factor. Cystic fibrosis, hypertension, the spinach and the beetroot, fantastic for hypertension. So but if you follow the rest of my recommendations, this is all about the Cellulare diet. Cellulare diet, vitamin D, optimum vitamin D, optimum vitamins. You know, take the optimum of vitamins, natural vitamins in foods, without toxicity. And vitamin D, optimum amount of vitamin D, and so you know, it's all about how to live disease-free, how to live to 100 or more, how to live forever maybe. Okay, pregnancy. So if you're pregnant, replace the beetroot and the spinach with lettuce, kale or cabbage. Maybe rotate them. Yeah, it would be a good thing to rotate to take those anyway, to rotate this Healthiest Breakfast Ever Mark II. It would be a good thing to rotate, you know, rotate the beetroot and the spinach with lettuce, with, you know, replace them with lettuce, spinach, lettuce, cabbage or kale. Anyway, yeah, so that would be a good thing. And if you've got any of these risk factors and you're not getting lots of sun exposure and tanning bed exposure, which I recommend for vitamin D, if you're taking vitamin D as a supplement instead and getting yourself tested, take plenty of vitamin D, get yourself tested to make sure you get to the optimum amount without toxicity. Use my Mark 1, use my Healthiest Breakfast Ever Mark 1 with loads of carrots in. So yeah, we've abolished the carrots in this for tanners. Carrots are, you know, no problem with carrots in your diet, you know, for tanning. But the problem if you're, you know, drinking a pint of carrot juice like we are, you know, like in my Healthiest Breakfast Ever. So now we'll get on to the main talk. So this is the Healthiest Breakfast Ever Mark II. We've got rid of the carrots with their pesky furanocoumarins because I really advocate getting sun exposure and tanning bed exposure for vitamin D. There are some risks, but the benefits far outweigh the risks. Go to my videos on vitamin D, on tanning and vitamin D, I made 10 videos, so well worth a look. And if you're worried about getting skin cancer from sun exposure, have a look at those videos. Those will tell you how to avoid it and what are the real dangers, what are the real risk factors. Okay, so we've got rid of the furanocoumarins. Now carrots, you know, eat carrots, don't worry about it. But in the Mark 1 version of my Healthiest Breakfast Ever, you know, you're drinking about a pint of carrot juice every morning, which is a huge amount of these pesky furanocoumarins, which are phototoxic. They go in your skin, and then, you know, ultraviolet. They can cause skin damage, possibly even skin cancer. So. You want to avoid orange juice for the same reason, and above all, avoid eating grapefruit if you're tanning. Avoid eating grapefruit, especially if you get burned. That is very bad. Okay, so 63 medicinal health-giving effects. So how do you like them apples, Dr. Mike? Yeah. So we're going to. You can see the video where I make the juice, of course. So some warnings. You must use this with black radish. Now, I replaced the carrots. The point of the carrots was lots of beta-carotene in, and the black radish stimulates bile, which transforms beta-carotene into the animal form of vitamin A, which is retinol. So with this Healthiest Breakfast Ever, you get the maximum amount of vitamin A that your body can handle. Once it reaches the optimum amount, your body will stop transforming it, so there's no risk of vitamin A toxicity. If you eat too much vitamin A in the animal form, say you ate a polar bear's liver, it might kill you because there's so much vitamin D retinol in it. But this is a safe way to get absolutely maximum vitamin A. So I replaced the carrot with spinach and beetroot, and this is even better. This is even much better than the Mark 1 version. Loads of beta carotene in spinach, and quite a lot in beetroot as well. So that those beta carotenes are getting transformed into retinol by the black radish, stimulates bile. So this Healthiest Breakfast Ever juice will have a detoxing effect. Now, what it will do, it will heal your gut. And if you heal your gut too quickly, then you're going to have detox effects. I won't go into that too much in depth. Look at my website. You can see the links underneath to my website. Much more details on my website. But where was I? Detox effects. So it's very important to detox, because this juice and the diet that I'm, all my recipes, if you eat the recipes, follow my version of the Senior diet, you're going to put if you have a disease, if you have a autoimmune disease, arthritis or something, or asthma. Asthma is not an autoimmune disease, but if it will put asthma into remission. It will put 91 different diseases into remission, but it will put them into remission very fast, and your body is going to start to get rid of toxins, and that could be a problem if you're not doing something to detox. One thing you could do is to supplement with plenty of vitamin C. Take small doses throughout the day. I actually take 10 grams of vitamin C in water. I put it in a bottle, and I take it in small doses throughout the day. Every hour I take a sip. Even better if you take it every half hour. That will also help get rid of the toxins. But very important to don't do this without the black radish, okay? Black radish in the UK you can get from realfoods.co.uk. In Edinburgh they've got an online shop, or you can get it from your local health food shop. I get mine from my local health food shop, which is Wild and Free in Rugby. They get it for me. Okay, put it in the fridge. So let's have a run through. We've got ginger. Warnings. So don't do this if you've had your gallbladder removed, because the bile comes from your gallbladder, and if you haven't got a gallbladder, you're not getting bile. So don't do it if you have it. Women use with caution, because there's a lot of ginger in this recipe, big amount of ginger. You can, use a bit less ginger. If you're a woman and you use tons, this huge amount of ginger, it could provoke menstruation. Don't use it if you have gastritis. Don't use it if you have diabetes 1, because there's an awful lot of sugars in this recipe. There's honey, and all the things have lots of sugar in them. Particularly beetroot got tons of sucrose in it. So So if you have diabetes 1, this is not for you. If you've got diabetes 2, just be very careful. Start with, say, a third of the amount, a third of my recipe. Maybe build up to half. And then, when you've done it for a few weeks, you should have got rid of your diabetes by then. And by the way, these things are great for diabetes, 63 medicinal health effects. We'll go through them. So Don't use it if you're pregnant because there's, again, lots of ginger. Ginger is very good for nausea. And in fact, the NHS website recommends it for, if you're pregnant and if you've got nausea. But again, there's a big amount in my recipe. Yeah. So go to my video which shows you how to make it. I won't dwell too much on amounts. You can see that in the video showing me making it. Oh yeah, I recommend, don't start on this immediately. I recommend making cabbage juice for breakfast for a couple of weeks, and you might even have some cabbage juice in the afternoon. The reason for that is cabbage juice really heals your intestinal tract, your gastrointestinal tract. It'll heal your stomach, it'll heal your intestines, it'll heal your colon, and all of those things. If you've got a chronic disease and you're taking non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, those all damage the gastrointestinal tract. So we need to heal that. Yeah, and there's some things in ginger and beetroot which are similar to they do the same thing actually. They do exactly the same thing. They inhibit their COX-1. Ginger is a COX-1, COX-2 and LOX inhibitor, and beetroot is a COX-2 inhibitor. Okay, those are what the drugs do, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. But these things, the way these act, ginger actually will heal your gastrointestinal tract. So but I recommend healing everything first with cabbage juice. Yeah. So right, let's look at ginger. Yeah, as I said, it's as well, the amount in this recipe, we're using it raw, and we're making it into juice. We're not messing about with powders. We're going for the real stuff. Yeah, we're making a big knob of ginger into juice. So you're getting the same effect as non-steroidal anti-inflammatories and more effects. Yeah, more effects that non-steroidal anti-inflammatories don't do. So you can forget your drugs on this recipe. You've got the beetroot and the ginger, just as effective, if not more effective, than your non-steroidal anti-inflammatories that you're taking. You might want to talk to your doctor about it, but maybe show him the video. Yeah, I don't want to end up in prison for prescribing medicine without a license or some bullshit like that. Okay, so ginger, what's it do? It prevents cancer, prevents and fights cancer in the digestive tract. So you can see, not only is it not damaging the digestive tract, it's really healing it, yeah. May reduce cognitive decline, and we'll see this again in beetroot and spinach. All may reduce cognitive decline. And these things, by the way, most of these things come from, I have to be honest, most of them come from studies on rats and mice. Okay, so we're extrapolating here. Mice and rats aren't exactly the same as humans, but I think we can, pretty well proven. Ginger is, used in Chinese medicine, in Indian medicine, it's Tibetan medicine. All these things are well-known medicinal effects. May reverse liver damage, prevents damage to cell membranes. It may prevent damage from stroke, and beetroot might do the same. What's it called? Yeah, perfusion. When you ischemia. Ischemia reperfusion, that's it, when the blood supply is cut off and then the blood supply starts again, it can cause damage. So the ginger can prevent the damage, and so can the beetroot. It's a very strong anti-inflammatory, and that's not just because of the COX-1, blah, blah, etc. There are other things which are in it which are anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, very strong antibacterial. With honey, there was a study, an Ethiopian study, where they used ginger and galam honey to kill MRSA in vitro. So it was in a petri dish, but it's probably going to do it in vivo as well. So analgesic, we've seen that. This is it. It's an analgesic. Because of that, it relieves the pain of menstruation, and it relieves the pain of rheumatoid arthritis, and probably osteoarthritis as well. Yeah, definitely osteoarthritis. And it may combat morphine addiction, okay? Honey, wonderful honey. It's got antimicrobial components, strong antibacterial. We've seen that. Heals drug-resistant MRSA. In infected leg ulcer, so if you've got in an infected leg ulcer, the honey can reverse it and heal it. So very strong wound healing, immune modulatory and wound healing. So if you've got a wound, you put honey on it, heals very quickly. And that's a traditional use. People have been doing that for thousands of years. Reduces diarrhea in critically ill patients. Now we've got glutamine. Now I'm replacing glutamine in my Mark II version, but I've left this because what I'm replacing it with is about 6 different amino acids. It's more balanced, but it'll do the same thing. It will heal the gut. Glutamine might be a bit problematic if you're taking it all the time. By all means, take it take a tablespoonful a day for a month. But then do go on to my mixture of aminos, and there's a video on that. Go and have a look at the video on that. It's good. It's really good. It's probably one of my best, if not the best. So what does glutamine do? And all the cocktail of aminos will do the same thing. It's a major substrate for the intestinal cells. It's the preferred food of your enterocytes, the intestinal cells. So will heal the gut very fast, and it's very good if you're stressed out. If you have stress, if you're stressed or you're ill, you start to burn up the glutamine. And glutamine is it's a what's the expression? It's glutamine. It's a conditional essential amino acid. So it's conditional. It is an essential amino acid. Your body can make it. Your body can synthesize it. But if you're stressed or you're ill, you burn it up, and then you need to be supplementing with it. And that's why they give it to you in a drip in hospital. If you have it in hospital, it'll stop bacterial infections, and so will arginine. That's all in my video about amino acids. Here we go. Trauma sepsis, stores depleted during trauma sepsis. I wonder if they're giving it to people with the COVID-19. Should they be giving a drip with glutamine in? I don't know. I think they should. Regulates tight junction proteins. So these are what cause the damage, what cause your disease when the tight junctions between the enterocytes are damaged. It lets undigested food molecules pass through into your bloodstream. It ends up in your cells or your cell interstices. And that's what causes the disease, depending on where they end up and depending on your genetic predisposition. So reduces inflammation, protects cells from apoptosis. Now let's look at beetroot. Fantastic beetroot, so many things. It's an analgesic like ginger. It's a COX-2 inhibitor. By the way, what is a COX-1 and COX-2 inhibitor? Well, it stops the production of prostaglandins. What are prostaglandins? They're hormones in your cells that are locally produced when you've got tissue damage or infection, fever, inflammation. They're part of the healing process, yeah? So they're good to have. And that's why I say, do the cabbage juice first. Because if you've got some damage, you want the prostaglandins. We don't want to inhibit the prostaglandins while that damage is being healed. So prostaglandins are a good thing in general. If it's a case of acute inflammation, but then long term, if you've got an autoimmune disease, the inflammation is permanent, and that's a problem. So what is COX-1 and COX-2? COX-1, they're enzymes which activate the prostaglandins, in the cells. They're actually hormones in your cells. So in all, present in all the cells. So that's why you can get inflammation anywhere. So, in disease, chronically high levels of prostaglandins are produced, leading to chronic inflammation. So that's the point of non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. They fight the inflammation, but they don't reverse the disease. They don't do anything for the disease. Ginger and beetroot are going to, give you relief, but they're not going to damage your intestinal tract like non-steroidal anti-inflammatories do. They're ulcerogenic, so they can cause ulcers in your stomach, in your intestine. So we want to, not good in the drugs. Come off the drugs. This works much better. Probably works better, probably give you more relief, and it's not doing so much harm, or not doing any harm, in fact. The enzymes, what's COX-1? COX-1 is cyclooxygenase 1, so it's called COX-1 in the medical literature, COX-1 for short. What's COX-2? Cyclooxygenase 2. So there's another one which is LOX, and I forget the long form of LOX. But ginger inhibits LOX, and the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, none of them do all three like ginger does. Okay, so, let's quickly look at beetroot. Beetroot, what's it got in it, beetroot? It's got lots of nitrates, tons of nitrates, as has spinach. Also, it's got lots of nitrate in it. Betalains, and betalains really you only get in beetroot. There's a few things you get it in, like rhubarb, but really beetroot is the only thing really where you're going to get betalains. Got lots of beta carotene, which we want to transform into retinol, and tons of folic acid. And spinach, tons of folic acid as well, and that's great for tanning. Gets in your skin, and the folic acid protects the DNA, the DNA from damage from the sun, and so that's where you get skin cancer when you've had, when you have sunburn and you haven't got enough folate in your skin, and the sunburn can actually burn up all the folate, and it can even lower the amount of folate in your serum, in your blood. So we want lots of lovely folate to tan healthily, without any problems. So this is great for tanning, beetroot and spinach. What else? Look at all these things. Improves exercise performance, and it's both the nitrate and the betalain are responsible for that. So antioxidative, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, anti-obesity. Oh, very good for obesity. Very effective. Let me see. Let me quickly look at my notes if I can find it. Come on, beetroot, where are you? Oh, damn! I put the damn thing down. Beetroot. They gave it to obese women, and had a fantastic effect. I think they were Oh, what was the effect? I'll put it. I'll put it up on the as an insert. Yeah, when we edit, I'll put a lot of these things. I'll put a study as inserts. Yeah. Relieves pain of osteoarthritis very effectively, yeah, as effectively as non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. So we've got, improves the blood flow in the brain. So that's why it's may reduce cognitive decline, yeah. And we've got spinach, which does a similar thing. So all these things fantastic to to combat Alzheimer's. If you don't want to get Alzheimer's, if you want to live to 120 without getting Alzheimer's or becoming senile, take my Healthiest Breakfast Ever every day. Yeah, combats Raynaud's. Raynaud's is a thing. I think it's autoimmune. It's when you're cold, and it's your extremity. It's very painful in your extremities, in your fingers. It hurts a lot. The blood isn't circulating properly. With beetroot, it stops that. Stops the Raynaud's. So if you have Raynaud's, really have my juice every day. Lowers blood pressure very effectively. Now, let me tell you how it lowers blood pressure. It isn't a permanent effect, okay? So if you stop doing it, if you stop taking the beetroot, the blood pressure will start to rise again. But it is very effective. And as you go on, it's cumulative. So the more you do it, the more the blood pressure goes down. But it's not a permanent cure for your high blood pressure. But it's it would be it's probably going to stop you having a stroke or something. But the Sennulé diet, just follow the Sennulé, my version of the Sennulé diet, and that will bring your blood pressure down. I guarantee. Protects the liver from damage, yeah. So in mice and rats, they gave the poor blighters, toxic chemicals, damaged their livers, and the beetroot stopped the damage. So a lot of mice got placebo, and another group got the beetroot, yeah. So got lots of beta-carotene, folic acid. We've seen that. So spinach, again, high in folate. Now we've got very high in chlorophyll, spinach. Okay, I've stopped the video now to show you these important studies in chlorophyll. And I want you, because I don't want you to think I'm making this stuff up. So we'll slowly scroll this up so you can read it. If you want to read it in real detail, like all the inserts, you might want to just stop the video so you can, and read it. Anyway, so number one, the chlorophyll reverses cognitive decline in rats. So would this be good for Alzheimer's, I wonder? I think it would. And note that the ginger, the beetroot, and the spinach all do the same thing. They all reverse cognitive decline. So this recipe, this juice, is going to be fantastic for preventing Alzheimer's, or that's speculative. It's hard to prove, but I think it's pretty good evidence in rats. Studies in rats and mice are called murine studies. So yeah, murine studies, not humans, of course. Then we've got fights cancer, and again, the ginger, the beetroot, and the spinach all have cancer-fighting properties. Oh, and the black radish is also combats aging. And then in a worm, there's a particular kind of laboratory worm that they do experiments on, and it's a very simple organism, but the chlorophyll extends its lifespan by 25%, which is a lot. Yeah, so if it did that in humans, that would be good, wouldn't it? 25% extended lifespan. And number 4, very powerful anti-inflammatory effects in mice and rats. And pretty sure that this, it has the same effect in humans. So, by the way, the experiment I won't describe the experiment that they did on rice mats because it's pretty cruel. Anyway, back to the video. The vegetables, I think it's the highest in chlorophyll or the second highest, and chlorophyll has marvellous effects, does lots of things. Beta-carotene, we've seen anti-anemia, antibacterial, anticonvulsant, so anti-helmintic, that means if you've got worms, it'll get rid of the worms, I don't know how effective it is, but, it's going to have some effect against worms. Lowers cholesterol, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, anti-ulcer. Again, this is going to heal your gut. It's going to heal your your stomach. It's going to heal your intestine. It's going to heal your colon. Cabbage juice, fantastic for doing that. That's why I say take cabbage juice for a couple of weeks. May reverse cognitive decline again, lowers blood pressure, prevents heart attack, and very good for weight loss again. Thylakoids. This is the compound they're called thylakoids, and they're responsible for the weight loss. Again, we'll flash that up. We'll do an insert so you can see that I'm not making this up. Reverses fatty liver. Apples. An apple a day keeps lung cancer away. This they found there's a cohort, what's called a cohort study, the famous nurses' health study in the US, where nurses fill out questionnaires on what they eat, and then they follow them for years to see what diseases they develop and see what effects what they ate had on the diseases. And the ladies who had an apple a day didn't get lung cancer, and the people who didn't eat apples were more likely to get lung cancer. That's a big simplification, very good for intestinal inflammation. Again, this is great for what we want to do. We want to heal the gut, heal the stomach, heal the gut, heal the colon. Oh, and the healing compounds in the apples, which do that, they go all the way through, so they don't just get digested in the intestine and don't reach the colon. They go all the way through and they get to the colon as well. Black radish. Now, the black radish is to stimulate bile, protects liver from injury by pollutants, reverses fatty liver again, and it destroys gallstones in mice. So does it do the same in humans? I don't know. It might well do, So prevent you getting gallstones. All radishes contain coenzyme Q10, So black radish contains that. But I eat lots of mooli, also known as daikon radish. I have some of that every day, grated daikon radish. You'll see one of my recipes. You'll see me making it. So I get loads of coenzyme Q10. May have an anti-aging effect, and beetroot and spinach both have very strong anti-aging effects. All radishes are good for diabetes too, to prevent diabetes too. It's the anthocyanins which do that. It's got selenium, trace elements of selenium. You don't want too much selenium, but selenium is very good for preventing cancer. And if you've got cancer, you want to make sure you get some trace amounts of selenium. I eat miso soup with every meal. Well, I have it for lunch and dinner, not for breakfast, but for lunch and dinner I always have miso soup. And again, you can see my video, you can see I I tell you all about the ingredients in miso soup, and then I tell you how to make it. You've got selenium in miso soup, so if you have some miso soup, again you're getting some lovely selenium. And the point of it is to convert beta-carotene into vitamin A. So I think that's it, and we'll put some inserts in from the studies, so you know that I'm not making this stuff up. Okay, cut.